Today on the podcast, I got Matt Downie, who's the managing director of iElectrical. Matt, thanks for joining me, mate.
Thanks for having me.
Always wanted to have you on. And you probably don't know this, but I have looked up to you from a distance for a while.
Oh.
So you're someone I admire. So it's been good to create a bit of a friendship with you and have you on here, mate. So thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Sweet.
Can you start with maybe? I know you've done it before in interviews, but just the background of a bit about your career and how you got into electrical, and then how you started iElectrical.
Yeah. Well, basically got given an apprenticeship through footy club.
Yep.
Back in 2007, I reckon it was. It was about to start some work experience with the carpentry mob.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had one of the guys from the footy club just reach out and say, have you ever thought about doing electrical? And I was like, nah, but I'll give it a crack.
Yep.
And so, I went from there. Did pre-voc for 6 months full time, which was torturous considering now they do it in 6 weeks as well. But did 5 years with Watters, so 4 years as an apprentice, and then an extra year as tradesman, then sort of moved on to another, sort of stayed in that commercial sector, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Moved around with a few places that sort of went into administration, and jumped around a little bit, worked at the NRA, as it was called back then, the New Royal Adelaide. Did a bit of work there, and then sort of didn't really like that too much. It was just too big. Moved back into the commercial team at Adelaide Central Electrical, and just ended up starting my own business. The wife sort of pushed me out to have a crack and sort of start to enjoy it a bit more, because you sort of get yourself in that sort of rock up to site, leave site, and it's just I just found myself just just turning over basically, and wasn't really enjoying it too much. Just got a bit of inspiration, a bit of motivation to go and do something for myself, and now we're here 7 years later, and enjoying it.
2016.
16, yeah. So I actually sort of started it in 16. Started iElectrical in 2016 while I was still employed.
Mm-hmm.
I was just doing a lot of after hours and weekend work.
Mm-hmm.
So trying to just build up a bit of a client base and build a little bit of a name up, which, did take some time, but got to March 2017 and made the call sort of just to get out and have a crack. Topped up a couple of days a week with a mate of mine, just subbing to him, helping him out. So he was a good help.
Mm-hmm.
And then, sort of away we went, taking any opportunity that came my way and just tried to make people happy.
Yep. Yeah. It seems like you pretty quickly went and started hiring staff. How long were you sort of out just on your own for?
Yeah, so it was just me for 12 months. Jack came on as an apprentice first, and then sort of closely followed on by Hayden, Matt and Jared, 3 Sparkies, 2 of them who are still with us today, and one who moved to Canberra during COVID just to go back and be with his family. So we sort of quickly hired those 3. Then Brad came on not long after them as well.
Yep.
So I think 12 months of my own, Jack and I for probably 6 to 8 months, I reckon. Then the tradies sort of came on, I think 3 or 4 over a year type thing after that.
Yep.
And
how many of these are there now?
I think we counted this morning as 32.
32.
Yeah.
Man, that's a serious growth in that time, eh?
Yeah. It was. It is. It's always hard to manage, as you probably know.
Yeah.
COVID hit and we were pretty nervous about a few things, so we went from 10 down to 6 again, and the change was really, some of our higher apprentices, which we sort of sent back just in case. We weren't sure what was going to happen.
Yep.
And I wanted to really focus on making sure my direct hire team was safe and felt comfortable through that period. And then I think within 6 or 7 months, we were sort of back up to 18. So just went crazy.
And what sort of work do you guys do?
We got 3 teams now. We've got sort of what we call projects, service, and now the new team, which is EV. So our projects team, led by Matt now, he basically new construction. So the way we work that out is essentially anything over 100K, whether it's new construction, fit out, office fit out.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't do too much residential. We sort of stay clear of the multiple spec home builds and stuff like that. We do a bit of custom work, which is nice because we can put a bit of TLC into that one. And then we got the service and maintenance team, and they do basically anything from repairing a fault, replacing a light, to putting in a new power point, emergencies, 24/7. Yeah, they cover basically everything.
And so you sound like when you said you don't do too many like spec homes and that, it sounds like you've got like an ideal client, avatar, I suppose some people call it. What do you have an ideal client, and what are the type of clients you're trying to work for? Because it seems like maybe you're obviously not just trying to work for everybody.
Nah. Yeah, we've become a lot more, I guess, specific with who we'd like to work with. Well, it's hard. We all find it hard to turn down work and opportunities. But we've probably more so this year really targeted a lot of commercial, sort of service and maintenance type of clients. We've got on with clients like Ventia, Johns Lang, number of insurance builders. We're working a fair bit with RAA.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, with their stuff. So yeah, we've put a lot into that. The early stages, a lot of our work was heavily residential, while we're trying to build enough backing for the bigger clients to want to even look at us. And we still do a lot of commercial type, residential type work. But yeah, it's probably been overtaken now from the commercial.
So how do you go about vetting those? When you say it's hard to turn down opportunities, like I know what you mean. What's your criteria? Do you have one? It's tricky when you're a business owner. You want to do it's tempting to do everything.
Yeah, we don't have a vetting, I guess, procedure as such. No, not really. Look, I mean, if an opportunity comes our way, we'll generally try and honour it. Some things that we do find is, residentially, if someone that we didn't know found us on Google, Facebook, whatever, gave us a call, can you come and put in 5 down lights, 2 pendant lights? We'd go there, give them a quote, and they'd either accept it or they'd be getting other quotes.
Yeah.
So that's sort of one thing that we've found, especially in that space, that people are very dollar conscious, which is fair. But, we're not the most expensive, but we're not the cheapest. I'm happy to say that. But, I'll stand by the product that we can deliver, from quoting, communication, and then reliability and the quality. Overall quality is, something that we pride ourselves on. So, doesn't come, I guess, cheap.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, one of the things that I've always been drawn to you about is like, you seem like a bloke who, when you do something, you do it properly. Like, for instance, as an example, is like your vans, they're always like mint, best sign writing. Your workshop, which I just went to for the first time last week, that show you put on was elite. So I'd like to understand, like, uniforms as well. Your lads were wearing like the sick, you got this drip here, looks killer. Like what where does that come from? And I'd like to know, like, why is that so important to you? You seem like a bloke who, when you do something, you bloody do it properly. And I'd like to understand the flow on effect that might have into the rest of the staff.
I think like that's the early stages. My wife and I sat down and really, I remember sitting at this coffee shop in Dulwich, and we had a notepad. We had no idea what we were doing, except we were just trying to work out how people can visually think, wow, these guys look great.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know us, Now, yeah, some people know iElectrical's name and have heard of us from along the grapevine or our social media posts or whatever. But in the early days, like, no one knew that. Like, we didn't have a following basis, and apart from friends and family,
Yeah. Yep.
So we really sat down and we wanted to design something that we could almost use across the board that looked professional, that looked, classy, would stand out, but then it's recognisable. So, you might notice from the vans, we've got the guys, especially on site, they've got the similar colours in their polos, same logos. So we use all the same logos on all of that sort of thing. I really wanted to get it so that people could remember, or it would like pop out.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
The colours that we used in our logo, like, seems funny, and I don't know whether it works or not, but like the light blue and the orange, it's meant to be like they're memorable colours, and you can remember those, and they trigger certain things. So
when a politician wears a red tie, and that's when they're strong, and then when they wear a blue tie.
Yeah. So like, it's funny, like, you don't necessarily think of it that way, but we did go into that. So and I even sit down with my team still to this day, and while Matt and Brad and Jared and guys like that have grown within the business to step up into new roles as we've grown, I still sit down with them today, and perception is everything.
Yeah.
Is things that I say, because people looking in from the outside, they're thinking like, oh, well, these guys look great. Oh, they look professional. They don't necessarily know me or Matt or Brad or Jared. They don't know us, but they'll give us an opportunity because of how we're portraying ourselves in the business. So it's always been a big thing for me to make sure that someone from the outside can have some confidence in us without even knowing us yet.
Just like, it's like you're distinguishing yourself between, because that's the thing, it's like, how do the customers distinguish you from the other 100 Sparkies? So you spend a lot of time on the brand.
Yeah.
You seem like a big brand guy.
Well, yeah, building the brand, like, that's my wife. She's in that space. She loves the marketing side of things. So, we did do a big brand building exercise for probably the first 3 years, which was trying to really target our clients at that time, which was the residential space, and home upgrades and stuff like that. So, Facebook's, Instagram were big things. We did a lot of posts with well-known people in Adelaide that had big followings. So, like, South Aussie Cozzy, Adelaides, I think Glam Adelaide.
Yep.
So these big brands in Adelaide that have a big following that we tried to connect ourselves with, so the following that then follow us and that's how we sort of built the brand with our
collabs.
Yeah, like with a lot of our social stuff we were getting through, it was really targeted at brand awareness. It wasn't like, we did things like buy one fan, getting that 10% off the second.
Yeah.
We did do that, but, it wasn't as powerful as people learning or learning about the brand and iElectrical and what we do. So that was a big part of the early stages for sure.
Yeah. What's the current environment like in that, like the electrical space? Like, I suppose, staff wise, I probably know the answer to that, but I'd like to know sort of what the biggest current challenges are, more in the electrical space in general. Can you think of anything that comes to mind?
I feel like there's a number of electrical contractors out there that probably undervalue what they can offer. And it almost pulls everyone down a little bit because it's very price conscious. And I understand why it's price conscious, especially now, with the amount of interest rate rises, cost of living increases. People want to do home improvements. People want to do certain things, but they've got to try and get it into a budget. So I think my view is that overall the electrical industry probably should be higher than what it is from a charge out perspective. But there's also a lot of contractors out there, and because there's so many contractors, everyone's trying to get work.
Yeah.
So people are almost letting themselves go for a lesser dollar,
just slippery slope
to get the work, and it does keep feeding down.
Staff wise, how's that?
Staff, look, staff's been tricky. This year's been good. We've hired 10 people this year. We've lost one, and that was to go to another opportunity, which,
That's a good ratio though.
yeah. I can't, the one that we've lost, his last day's tomorrow, but I'll shake his hand, and, the door will be open if he ever wants to come back, that's for sure.
Yep.
Before that, 2 years before this year was a nightmare. Finding the right people. It's a good lesson though, but finding the right people, good electricians, quality, it was just hard.
Did it make you need to level up in any areas? Like what did you learn from it?
Yeah. So that's where we probably hired a couple of the wrong people as well. And we learned that the hard way. Had to make some changes with the way that we recruited. But then internally, the biggest thing that we did was build a culture, better culture. We already had a pretty good culture, but a better one. And we put values to the business. We put behaviours to those values. We did a lot of training. We brought someone in to help us with that. Now we touch on it every month at our toolboxes. We have awards for it. We really wanted to build the culture and then show everyone out there like what it's like being at iElectrical. You're not just going there and running some wires and putting in some lights. It's a bit more than that, and it should be fun, and you should enjoy being at work. And almost like I guess what I've tried to explain it to people is like we want to be like a destination club. And the reason why I say destination club is because the footy days, I used to play at a club that was definitely a destination club, and that's what I want our business to be like. So people want to come and work for us. And we've had some people come on board that have said that they just want to come and work somewhere, where they're going to enjoy it, has a good culture. So I think that's where like our success has been this year, and being able to recruit people, and the guys that we've recruited have been brilliant.
So
Guys and girls, I should say.
That's another great thing, isn't it? Now that even in the plumbing space, is like a lot of women are getting into it, which is huge. Because back when me and you did our apprenticeships, there was literally nobody.
No.
That you didn't. I reckon there was one girl plumber I knew of, and that was it. So that's been huge. And so coming back to the values. So you're saying you were basically in that tricky period when you were struggling to find staff over the last couple of years, when you decided to sort of bring in the values of the business.
Yeah.
So what was the process around that? So
I guess it started from when we did hire the wrong people, and then I shouldn't say the wrong people. Sorry, I should probably more so say the people that just didn't align with our values. Like they had their own agenda, which was fine, but it just didn't fit in with what we want to do.
Yeah.
So we ended up having to try and change the way that everyone, I guess, saw it internally, and by doing that was setting examples. And that's why we do the awards, so guys can actually see that someone's getting rewarded for setting a good example with, like one of our values is first class behaviours. So, and look, that could be a wide range of things, but by showing the right behaviour, or putting people first, that's another one. So whether it's a customer, your teammate, whoever you're working with. So we just started showing examples on how the guys and girls could do that. And eventually people started following along, and, we've had almost everyone win one of those awards now.
That's sick.
So that's been, it's been really good. And where it started, I just didn't know where to start basically when I thought about this, because we've always had values, but it was never, we were never publicised it, you know, like it was just follow the Matt Downie way, which isn't always the right way, as much as I like to think it is. But so, and through footy, Connection reached out, and he's got it's what he focuses on with his business. He came in, sat down with my senior team and my administration team, where we just made a start, and basically 6 months we just worked on a number of things. Once a month it was. No, once a fortnight, sorry.
Yep.
And we just, kept unboxing things, and I guess got everyone thinking in different ways, but then also that turned into everyone thinking a similar way and being on the same path. We then had a big get together with the team and rolled that out to the wider team. Gave them the opportunity to have an opinion in it as well. Like, just because, you know, 7 of us came up with the values doesn't mean that it's everyone's. So we gave them the option, and you know, no one disagreed with what we'd come up with. Everyone was pretty happy with what we'd come up with, and so we've rolled it out to them, and now we really try and, I guess, lean on it as much as we can to get, especially the younger ones, like starting to think about. Because, us as the more senior ones, or the electricians that deal with the customers or deal with suppliers or whoever, like, they're doing it. But then the apprentices that don't necessarily always need to, it's a good part of their development.
It's good because it gives them, I find it one of the massive things about when you implement the values is it gives people, essentially it's giving people a framework in how to behave, but also how to make decisions as well, isn't it? So it's does this decision align with our values? If it does, then sweet, you can make that decision without having to ask me 100 times. You know, I feel like that's a good, powerful thing about it. So was this fellow who came in, was he like, does he still work with you? The guy from the footy club who helped you with the values, or?
We touch base every now and then. We're looking at doing, so I caught up with him maybe a month ago at our office, came in and said good day to everyone, and I sat down with him. We're looking at touching again early next year, and just sort of seeing how things are going, and whether there's any more space to develop or grow in.
So is he like a business coach sort of thing? Or
his business, it's not a business coach. He's not a motivator. He's more like, he helps, his business is called Driven From Within. So he like helps people, I guess.
Is that Matt Craig?
Yeah.
He used to be a school teacher, didn't he?
Yeah.
I think my wife knows him. He used to be at Golden Grove. No, he used to be at the Heights. I don't know. Anyway. Shout out to him. He doesn't know me from a bar of soap, but I know him.
No, he's great. And, you know, first time we sat down with Matt, was some of the things he said, just like, we're like, well, like, this is, we don't even think about things how he's thinking about it. And that's, you know, that's his background, that's his profession, and that's why he's good at what he does. Because we've just got me and the rest of the guys and girls just thinking about things that you would not even think about. You know, and got us onto reading some pretty powerful books as well. I don't read, like, that's, I'll read an email and a text message, but apart from that, I can't sit down and just read a book. Like, that's just not me. I'm too bouncy, you know, and I'll rather stay busy than sit down and read a book. But he got me reading a couple of books that were like brilliant to put things in perspective.
Can you shout out these books? Can you think of the names?
I should be able to remember it.
We can put them in the show notes anyway.
No, there's Matt will
he'll kill you if you don't think of them.
He'll see this and I can't think of it right now, but it's about the New Zealand rugby team.
Okay.
And sweeping the sheds is one of the terms.
Yeah.
So they used to go in, they'd play the game, you know, take off all their strapping. And a lot of sporting teams that I've been involved in, that would be, you'd take off your strapping, throw it at the bin in the corner, and if you missed, oh, well, you missed, and you'd leave your drink bottle there, and you'd walk out with, you know.
Someone else will do it.
Someone else will clean it up.
Yeah.
big thing about them is like the players would come back in and sweep the sheds.
Ah,
So it wasn't like about I'm up here and you're down here. It was we're all here and we'll do things together.
I love that.
Yeah, so it was really cool. It was a good book.
You like to tell everyone you're a good footy player anyway, from what I've heard. But I was going to ask you, like, what have you learnt? What's footy taught you about business? And is there anything transferable from footy? It seems like, you've answered it, but a lot of it's around team. Team.
Yeah.
You caught on. You touched on before about, you said you had 10 people come in. You lost one guy. I feel like maybe to another opportunity. Right? I feel like maybe we spoke about this a while back, but I just wanted to ask you about what the current situation is with like Sparkies and wanting to go off to do FIFO, because I feel like that maybe have been a bit of a like pandemic you guys went through as such, where like you were losing a lot of really good talent. How's that now?
Haven't lost anyone to it for a year or two. We did. Yeah, we probably 2 years ago, probably had three or four leave to just go and do FIFO.
How do we compete with that stuff? Because I feel like that's sort of certainly in the plumbing space, it's really hard, isn't it? Because
I don't think you can. I think things I've touched on is you try and build a culture, you try and build a team, you try and build like an environment where everyone's welcome and you want everyone to be involved. We can offer that. We can't offer the wages that they'll earn. And if they want to choose the wages, they'll take it. You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to get the environment.
Yeah.
But they're gonna, if they're looking at that, my belief is that they're just going to choose that no matter what. Like, and it might be a point in time for them where they're just like, look, I'm going to go for a year or two just to pay off my mortgage or get enough money so that I can buy a house. So.
Do you find that anything surprises these guys when they, not to bag out FIFO or anything, because it's a good opportunity, but do you think that there's a bit of like the kids thinking, I think when I say kids, like the younger people, usually the ones that go, think it's going to be one thing and then they realise it's something different? Like, do you get any of that feedback?
Nah, once they go, I generally don't. Like, one of the lads I'm good mates with that's gone, I was devastated when he left. But like, I spoke with him the other week and he let me know that he was giving me a bit of grief that Port were going to beat Geelong, and then we beat I'm a Geelong supporter, and then Geelong beat Port. So we had a good yarn, but he's enjoying it. Like, I don't know. I know that he didn't know what to expect when he got there. So, but he's enjoying it still, and he's been there for 12 months. So
Yep. Okay.
yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things. I think it's it's just a different game. But I also think that once people get into it, they find it hard to get out of it.
Yeah, because their lifestyle matches their They suddenly have like the best utes and jet skis and when they realise, shit, I'm stuck in this job now because I've got a certain lifestyle I need to keep up. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. And some of them are generally hard workers. Like, so you can't take away from the fact that they do long days and they work hard when they're there. But they'll work hard for 2 weeks and they'll come home for a week and have a good week off, and where they get to go and enjoy the jet ski or, pub hop every night with catching up with mates and stuff like that. And it does, guys that I know, I think that they've ended up doing it for probably longer than they expected, because the balance of being able to come back and, earn half of what they're getting away.
Yeah.
So,
Now, you're big on into the EV space. Can you just touch on that a little bit for me? Because I have a follow-up question I'd like to ask, which, coming from a plumber, I don't know if this question is going to work or not because it might not make sense, but it works in my mind. But can you touch on, what you guys are doing in the EV space and, who you're working with? Because you've got a huge collab, if you don't mind. About that.
Yeah. So, something pretty new. Dominic, my wife, came and did 6 months with us earlier this year. She came to me with this idea about electric vehicle charging, and I brushed it off. Nah. Anyway, she talked me into it. As I started getting more and more invested and involved in it, I really started enjoying the space. It's like a new space. It's It's cool. It's something I didn't know much about. I mean, when you talk about EV charging, it's essentially a glorified PowerPoint.
Yeah.
But there's so much more to it than, you know, whether it's load management, charging, you know, power supplies. Like, yes, at homes it can be quite simple. But once you start doing it commercially, it's a bit of a different game, whether it's like doing DC, where you can do ultra fast charging, charge your car in 20 minutes, you know, like,
Yeah.
it's a different ball game. We're not running a small little, you know, 6 mil twin and earth or whatever. We're talking
Buzz bar.
well, with like XLPE cables, like big cable runs from transformers, like it's
Yeah.
regional. So we've sort of adapted into that space. We didn't really know how to get in and break in. So we could see the RAA was doing quite a bit with the network that's being rolled out.
Yep.
So we wanted to try and work with them, which we didn't get on straight away. I guess we were learning more, and we were probably a bit off the pace on what they needed, which we then eventually broke in and now doing quite a bit of work with them. Councils, whether it's depot charging.
Yep. Charge their LDV utes.
Yeah, they've got, I mean, and even, you know, not similar, but, you know, some of them are branching into electric mowers and that sort of space as well. So they're really trying to pull away from the fuel vehicles and move into every sort of space of electric.
Okay.
So yeah, I guess we're only probably just starting to touch it now. We've got two guys that are dedicated just to that space. And look, we're trying to evolve it more within the team, and like, I guess what we can do, because like I said, there's more than just being able to run a cable and put a charger on the end of it.
Yeah.
So we're doing training where I'm just trying to learn as much as I can in that space as possible to keep it growing.
Yeah, that's huge, because from we've been trying to crack into RA. We do a lot of work for RA, but indirectly.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to crack that nut for a while. Get into RA, because personally I feel like that's why I reckon it's just so awesome what you're doing, is because I speaking about brands, like RA to me is like the quintessential South Australian brand. You know what I mean? Like, so I've always wanted to work for RA direct. So I think you doing that is just absolutely massive. So my question I was going to get to is, I hear a lot of talk about people saying, like, talking really negatively about electric vehicles, because they say, like, our power network can't, just can't deal with all that extra load and all that's going to happen. Like, can you touch on that for me? And is that a thing? Because I'm hearing a lot of that. You hear a lot of people speak negatively about that.
It's a thing. It is a thing, but, you know, there's provisions and there's planning that's going into it. And I know SA Power Networks are doing a lot in that space. So, you know, I guess the state's being quite, they're on the forefront of it. They're trying to progress with it. It's a big beast.
What's the worry? What's essentially, if you could make it simplify it, that,
like, you know, try and use too much power, transformers go, lose power to your properties, you know, like,
because it's all of a sudden like they're just going to have charging cars that just weren't even there before. Like, just comes down to load, does it?
And that's sort of the load management side is quite critical, because especially like even for homes, right? You always give the people quite a simple explanation that I understand. And like, so say a general house has 63 amps, single phase, and you've got a charger that's 32 amps, single phase. You've got an oven that's 32 amps, single phase, so it's 64 amps already. You've got an aircon that might be 20 amps, so that's 84 amps. So if you get home at 6 p.m, someone's come and put in your charger and hasn't bothered to talk to you or educate you on load management. I'm going to plug my car in, bang, your car doesn't have, the charger doesn't have load management and it's going to try and draw full power.
Yeah.
You go to turn your heater on because the house is cold.
Mm-hmm.
You then go to turn your oven to cook dinner.
Yeah.
Bang, your power goes. Lose power to your whole house.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, and from an electrician, it's an easy fix to say, oh, well, the power's gone. I'm going to unplug one thing and stop doing something else.
Yeah.
But what if you then need to go out at, 7:30 to pick the kids up from sport or something like that?
Mm.
Your car's trying to charge. Oh, no, charge. They call it charge anxiety.
Yeah.
Because apparently it's a real thing. I don't have an EV yet because I'm waiting for that space to suit me a bit better. But, the charge anxiety, which you might know about, it's a real thing.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, shit.
Definitely.
Don't have a petrol station, an OTR around every corner, do we? So it's just, at least what we try and do and educate is the fact that, yes, you can come home and do all those, but if you get a charger with some load management side of things, it might just charge at 10 amps and allow everything else to still work the way you need it to in your house.
Yep.
Because it learns, or it's understanding how much power everything else in your house is trying to draw to minimize your car. And you can plug it in, you can set it to start charging at 10 p.m. if you wanted it to. So you do it overnight, try and get some off-peak charging or whatever you want to try and do. So, there's a bit more to it than just, I guess, it being a glorified PowerPoint, and that's the space that we're trying to educate people on. And I hate to see this big space evolve and people just jump on board and just go and sell it to people without educating someone and then causing more issues. Yeah, because it could happen.
Mm-hmm. And I guess touching on that sort of stuff, I'd like to get your personal view on, like, I guess we're going to the 2050 net zero emissions, all these sort of things that are happening, and I'd like to know what from your point of view, what you think, like, the future landscape of the electrical trade looks like in regards to, is there any trends or technology that's coming out that you think is going to be really important, that there's going to be big opportunities in moving forward, like in regards to trying to get our power consumption down?
I reckon, I don't know yet, but like solar and batteries, obviously, a way that we can try and take off the grid. So, and I'm doing this now at my place where we're putting on solar panels, and then we're going to also add in batteries in the next couple of months.
Yep.
So that my usage from the grid to the house is almost not existent, because what my house is pulling through the solar panels during the day is stored in a battery.
Yep.
So then the battery can give out and we can use everything. So it minimizes the amount of power that's being drawn from, SAPN's grid to each individual. So I don't know where people will push things, like whether we can go, whether some rebates will be offered where people can buy a solar and battery package like you could a few years back, but they've taken that away now. But will it be brought back in so that it offers more people like you and me an opportunity to do that, which then takes some strain off SA Power Network's network to allow things like this to come in? Can the car battery now become your house battery? Yeah, where you can use it different ways. So there's things that I've heard about but don't know about fully yet. But like, I just think that in the next 2 to 3 years, this space is going to develop a huge amount, and that's one reason why I haven't invested myself into an EV just yet. Yep. Because I feel like that the development will be massive.
Waiting to see how it plays out a bit.
Yeah.
So is the battery at the point, the tech and the investment starting to get more to the point where it's viable? Because I know that when they first came out, the talk was like, the batteries are just too expensive and the technology is not quite there yet for me to even get the return on investment.
Oh, I think it's improved a fair bit, yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
I think it is, and that's why I think that it's still got a bit more space to go. Generally, not like individually with car brands and whatnot. I think everyone's sort of starting to roll out more and more options in the EV car space. But I mean, yeah, like I said, Tesla led the way. Everyone's catching up slowly. There's a few that are probably on par with it now.
Yep.
Doesn't help you and me in the trade industry yet because we're not there yet. And what they do have, we wouldn't be able to carry the weight and stop and charge and be able to bill someone for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, we need to be able to get 600 Ks out of a day and be able to tow a trailer and a ton of material in the back and to be able to make it worth it for the trades. But and you know, that is a big space. Is that what's the wording they use? It's I guess commercially, the amount of vehicles that are on the road that are trade vehicles, freight, courier type companies, like if they could, getting on the net zero topic, you know, like if the country could find, or someone could find a way that the country could reduce the amount of commercial vehicles and have them as electric vehicles or trucks or buses, and that'd be a huge path forward to the net zero for sure.
Yep. Yep. I guess changing up from the batteries and everything. Have you had any like big business learnings or personal mindset shifts over the years that have resulted in big gains for you? Ways you think about things, or you know what I mean? Like one of mine was like self-limiting beliefs that I didn't even realize I had, and then I got over them and then made big gains.
Yeah, I'm probably still working on that one, I reckon. But I think the biggest thing that I did was when my second son was born. I remember just working like, how the hell am I going to keep doing what I'm doing without making some change within the business? You know, you got your baby, you want to be involved, you want to do a lot, but it's probably more powerful to be able to put someone in a position to take control and let them run with things. So, you know, I made a couple of changes, Brad and Matt, into more senior roles and looking after a team rather than me looking after everything.
Yep.
Was definitely a big step forward for us. So, you know, you want to try and be able to, well, you think that you might be able to do everything, but I felt that I couldn't do it well, and when I was still doing it, other things suffered. So, and that was, you know, generally the family and whatnot. So that was like one big thing that I've probably worked through. And you know, with Matt and Brad are both doing brilliant now. I don't know, I think like I've always been pretty, try to be pretty modest but also start to not really care about what other people think. Because sometimes you get concerned about what other people are saying and, you know, all that side of things. So but now I've sort of just let go of that and just pretty happy with what we're doing. You know, and not what other people think. So
you're staying in your lane and you're all sweet with it.
Yeah. So,
What so what does a typical day look like for you now?
Oh,
So Brad and Matt are doing a fair bit more. What does a managing director of a 32-person company do?
Well, not a lot.
More thinking.
I feed the sheep and goats
Is that going to want to hear that?
Nah, they know it. I send them photos. To be honest, like that's one thing that I've really worked on is a routine, because Matt and Brad look after a lot of the team, but I, you know, still need to be able to keep focused on the business, and it's a part of learning. And you know, now I'm not worrying about that project and when it starts and getting things organised. I'm worried about the business and how the projects team and the service team are running.
Yeah.
So I guess I get up. I've been listening to this this audio book called the 5 a.m. Club.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of it. Yep.
Yeah, and it's got some things in there that, you know, really makes you think. And so yeah, 5 a.m. That's the latest I get up now. If I haven't, my brain hasn't woken myself up earlier, the alarm's up at 5. I get up, I go and do. So one thing in the book is about, it's called the 20-20-20 rule. And it's 20 minutes of exercise, 20 minutes of learning, and 20 minutes of something for yourself. So I try and focus on that for the first part of getting up, whether that's going to the gym, listening to another part of an audio book, or just literally sitting down and having a coffee.
Yeah.
So like this morning, I got up, went to the gym, sat down, listened to a book, and then while I had a coffee. So did that, went into the office, got into my routine of 100 million things happening. And yeah, you know, then I'll see out the day. Normally about 4:30, I go grab the kids, go home, get dinner ready for them, into their pajamas, get them into bed by 7.
Yeah.
And normally pretty tired by 7:30.
Yeah, well, 5 a.m. Of course.
Yeah, and I put myself to bed around between 8 and 9. Okay. So I go to bed.
Do a wee, brush your teeth, and go to bed.
That's the routine. Shower, brush the teeth, straight to bed. No phone, no TV. Sort of just try and go to sleep. So and then do it again. That's it. You know, Monday to Friday, it's pretty similar. Just whether I go to the gym or go, you know, for a walk, or go out and see the animals at home and stuff like that. So
are you sort of, would I be right in saying with Matt and Brad are sort of sorting the operations side of things, and so you're not as heavily involved in knowing about every job?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point to be at.
Yeah.
It takes a long time to get there, but when you do, it's like, whoa.
Yeah. And that's, you know, one big added strength to the business, really. So you know, Matt and Brad are really good as well with their customers. They've spent enough time in the business to sort of learn about how we do it. So they've, you know, stepped up, and they've got a really good support with you know, Zara and Tori, doing a lot of their scheduling and administration sort of work. So it really allows the Matt and Brad to really focus on, you know, technically, making sure the technical side of things done, organising the guys, efficiencies, that sort of thing. So so yeah.
So we'll wrap up soon, mate. In hindsight, is there anything you would have done differently in your business journey? So it's always easy to look back in hindsight, I know that, but like especially earlier on, maybe, is there any mistakes you made that?
Nah, to be honest, no. Nah, I'm like, nah, there isn't. I've made mistakes, and I've learnt from them and got better from it. Like personally, I've made mistakes and I've learnt from it and been able to get stronger. And as a business, made mistakes and got better from it. You know, so. No, not at all. I think it makes us who we are today, and I really love what we've got. I really, really do. And you know, I'll be honest, I've had times when I've been over it and haven't wanted to do it. But you know, now like where we're at, we've got good clients, good team, good workload. You know, and it's just a good place to be. So it's just, I wouldn't change anything.
Sick.
Yeah.
When you have those, because everyone, I think one of the misconceptions is that when people think when you're like a managing director of a business, you know, I think one of the pressures I feel was like, you always have to be on, you know, even if you're not having a great day, and everyone thinks that you have a great day every day, but they don't realize that you're still human. So how do you get through those? Do you ever have, you know, I'm sure you do have those bad days. What do you do to bounce back from them? Or
you definitely have those days. You know, you get frustrated, you get, I tend, sometimes it's, you know, it's hard to hide it. and I definitely try not to let the team see if I'm frustrated at certain things or whatever. So if I do find I do go and do something for myself. If I need to change my mindset, and like I've touched on, I love my animals at home.
Yep.
And they're like the funniest story, but the goat is like my dog.
Yeah.
And he's, so I'll go and,
What's his name?
Tonto.
Shanto.
Yeah.
Killer.
Yeah. But I'll go and, take myself away, and it's quiet at home. So I'll go and, chill out with them, or I'll go to the sauna at the gym and just sit in there and just try and, almost zone out a bit and refresh.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to just remove yourself from the environment, I think, isn't it? And just,
one thing that I think has been really good, and I think the team would probably agree, is I work from home a few days a week.
Yep.
So that allows me not to be in it all the time. And, it's so hard sometimes to not hear that there's a problem.
Yeah.
And like, there's no way I could sit here and say there's never a problem. There's always problems. And whether it's our problem or someone else's problem, like we're there as a service provider to try and work through things, So, I basically will try and work from home just so I do remove myself from that space. We've got enough software and enough, communication points where it doesn't actually affect how we operate.
Yep.
Tori and Matt are working from home today. I'm here. I'll go back to the office, but we'll just, it's just being able to remove myself allows me to, be pretty level-headed most of the time now.
I think it empowers the staff as well, is what I've found, is like, when you say you're not there to hear about every problem, well, if you don't know about the problem, you can't fix it either.
Yeah.
So then they're empowered to fix it.
Yeah.
I think that's been a good game we've had as well, is like, just knowing that I'm not the person who fixes every problem anymore. If you've got a problem, you can fix it. I'm not here.
Yeah.
You know?
You don't get that. Hey, Matt.
Yeah. And that's, I guess that all ties back to getting out of the operations, which is so important, isn't it? Because with it, when you're in the, like, what I would say, like fighting fires every day, you just can't think big, man.
No.
You can't strategize. You can't think past your day, basically.
Yeah.
So everything 100%. Changes when you can get out of the operations, personally.
Oh yeah, no, you're spot on, 100%. And I even say it to Bridie's, who's like my support. She's also like, "Are you coming in today?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not."
Yeah.
But she also knows that when I'm at home, I'm way more creative, way more focused, way more. I'll get more done. So yeah, it's definitely you're right. Empowering people is massive. And like, we're starting to do it. We've got 2 managers, but we're trying to empower our supervisors now so that they can, start to, so that Brad doesn't have to solve every issue. Well, you're on that site, you can see it. Let's, you work through it. And if there's something that you just can't work out, like, give us.
Goes up the chain. And
We've sort of like got a triage system almost. Where, there's steps before you just call the manager. Because if we get, like, we got 10 guys calling Brad, like, what's he on every job?
Yep. And if you make it too easy for them, they'll do what's easy.
Yeah.
Like, and always call. So you
that's
just
right.
can't physically take the calls and be in it that much. So what about, last 2 questions, future direction of the business? And I guess personally as well, where do you see the business? What's the goals for yourself and iElectrical and communications?
Yeah. So I guess iElectrical, we really want to, we're pushing forward with the service team big time. Like, that's been a big focus of ours. Our projects team's very consistent with the workload. So, we've keeping that in a place which is comfortable for the business, sort of thing. We don't need to grow that a huge amount because it's just not needed. Whereas the service, with these new opportunities, with new clients, there's it's opened up this massive web of opportunity, essentially. So there's a big focus on that. and trying to develop that more guys if we can find them. But you know, that's a big focus for myself and Brad at the moment.
Yeah.
Same with the EV stuff. So, you know, like I said, we've just really touched on it. We're just going to keep trying to develop that from an installer point of view. And then we want to be able to turn an installation into management as well, where we can maintain those sites and make sure that they're operational because they're an income source for people.
Yep.
So, you know, yeah. Personally,
I mean, like, do you want to be able to take a month off, or, you know, like from a personal perspective, have anything like related around business?
No, I mean, that's where I'm pretty lucky now that if I needed time off, like I can do that.
That's not luck, man. That's hard work.
Yeah, but I've got a team that supports that, you know, and I'm sure you feel it, but you can get some guilt sometimes where you're just like, oh, if I'm going to go take a month off, like I feel guilty.
100%.
I'm not there forever.
One day I feel it.
Yeah. So when I talk about luck, it's more like, yeah, I've worked hard to get things to where they are, but I've also got a team that fully supports that and sees that. So if I do work from home, or if I do send them a photo of me and the goat, you know, like
Tonto,
they love it.
Yeah,
and they understand it. They don't like, oh, Matt's never here. You know what I mean? Yeah, whereas some people can do that. Yeah, look, I mean, family is a big part of where I'm at right now, 2 and 5.
Yeah.
They're growing so much, and you know, you've seen it. It's just they just change every day. So I'm really enjoying that. Ashton's getting into Auskick and tennis, and yeah, I don't know why tennis. I was hoping golf, but
it's busy, isn't it, at this point?
Yeah. So and yeah. So that, I mean, and the other thing is, I personally want to keep progressing in the EV side of things. What that looks like, I don't know yet. But I'm just trying to learn more and more about it, rather than just potentially just being an installer. But I'd like to, you know, see how far that space goes, and yeah.
Killer. Finally, have you got any advice? Because obviously on the podcast and socials, we have a lot of, you know, young kids starting apprenticeships, not necessarily electrical, but it's totally transferable. Do you have any advice to young aspiring, well, I would say, you know, tradies but also business owners? Anything that comes to mind that you think is really important for them to know that's been big for you?
Yeah. Look, I still say it to my team now. It's just customer service and communication. You know, from a business point of view, like everyone we speak to, they're just looking for that. I think I would also say, like, don't give up opportunities, take your opportunities, because you don't know where that develops. You know, so I did one great example. I took on this house. It was an absolute bomb site, and it wasn't because of the client or anything. It's just that the house was old as. Walked in there, you know, probably 3 months in, and the client's now our biggest builder.
Yeah. Yeah. You never know, do you?
Yeah. So, you know, you walk in and things going, oh, but opportunities come, and some won't progress any further, but some will take you to the next level. You know, be interested. It's a lot of things I say when we do all our reviews with our young apprentices is, you know, be interested, like want to know what you're doing. Don't just, hey mate, grab the ladder. Like, bring the ladder back if that's what you've been asked, but ask why you're doing that. What is going on? Try and understand things. Don't just you know, just hover around and not get what you're doing. Try and get as much out of every day as you can.
Yep.
So that's probably the things I'd say.
Thank you, mate. Thanks a lot for coming on. I really appreciate it, and you're someone I really look up to, so it means a lot that you'd come on, and appreciate it, man.
I've been waiting for the invite for ages.
No, you haven't. Thanks, legend.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers. Thanks for tuning in to another Plumbify podcast. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, and all the usual podcast platforms.